The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
There'll be spectacle, there'll be fantasy, there'll be daring do and stuff like you would never see.
Be a movie. Yeah, we're gonna be a movie.
Starring everybody
And me. There'll be heroes bold, there'll be comedy, and a lot of fuss that ends for us real happily. Be a movie. We can watch it all develop. Starring everybody.
And me. We'll take the world and set it on its ear.
Come on, join in. We're gonna start right here.
And we are going to start right here. Hello, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting Premier Podcast. This is Triple Feature. I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, I am joined by, he's just a sexy boy, but he's not your boy toy, the Heartbreak Kid. Wait, that's my wrestling podcast, and that's me I'm talking about. He's Dorian Price.
How we doing?
That literally is, I don't know how much wrestling you know, but that literally is like the whole Shawn Michaels routine.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot, so I don't recognize it, but I trust you.
Okay. I assure you I was doing a Shawn Michaels bit.
I'm Mac Kettner will be joining us as well, and I was kind of laughing because Michaela was supposed to be on the podcast with us tonight, but she started a new job, so scheduling kind of got in the way. But with her not being here, and for those of you who don't know Mac, he's also an older gentleman. It sounded like a bad joke. It's like there were three of them that night: the resurrected corpse of Christopher Lee, the oh god, who's the guitar, the bald Garcia from Grateful Dead, and then one poor dumb kid who got lost on the wrong back road.
So, as I've been saying, we're doing these like streaming catch-up shows once a month or so, sometimes twice a month, depending on how many streaming movies we got. And I'm just trying to get as many of these in before year's end so that I have a better picture of the film world, so that when we start doing end of the year lists, I'm a little bit more informed than I was the last couple of years. In addition to which, and I've talked about this before, I don't need to go into a whole diatribe about it. I am trying to explore other genres, as the main genres that have been the bulk of what we do here are getting kind of stale and boring, and we tend to complain about the same things over and over again. So I'm like, well, so what's going on in these other genres here that don't get as much attention? And it's funny because I tend to not do romance movies or romantic comedies, one, because I've never really liked them, but also no one else here has ever really had any interest in them. And I think I once proposed it to Alexis, and she's still talking about it to this day. Me? You expect me, a girl with boobs and a vagina, to expect to like romance the way other women do? What are you, crazy? And she's still going on about it. So there was never consistent. So there was never anyone to discuss this stuff with. And then you and your brood came along, and suddenly a whole new world opened up to me of people to talk about different stuff with. So I'm quite grateful for that. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're looking at 3 romance/romantic comedies that were on streaming services. One from Peacock and the other from the other two are from Netflix. We're looking at Bridget Jones, mad about the boy, I tell you. We are looking at The Lifeless, starring Evie from The Descendants, and then Dolce Villa, which I initially thought was an Italian film, and then I realized, oh wait, no, it's just in Italy.
Just really quick, because I had these written down, but my handwriting sometimes, even to myself, I can't read if I'm writing quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I got really confused and had to go back and look because I started watching La Vie en Rose. I was like, wait a minute. I mean, there's some romance in that, but I don't think that really fits with the other two. That's not right. And then I went back and was like, oh, yeah, no, it's La Dolce Villa. Okay.
Can I tell you how many times I've started to type La Dolce and it was something else? And I was like, no, Villa. It's about a house.
Right.
So as we like to do with all of these podcasts, I always got to get a feel for my guests and how they feel about the overall umbrella topic. Like I said, I will watch a romance movie. I've been through all the Twilight movies. I've been through the 50 Shades of Grey movies, such as, if one could call those romance.
I was gonna say, I think you're breaking up here, Mark. You said you have seen romance movies, and then you listed a whole bunch of really shitty movies. So I've been curious if you have a George, can you make the connection? Have we lost him?
When I was a child, you crazy kid, I had seen movies, Pretty Woman being, a classic example of like the romantic comedy. I'm sure there's more that I'm thinking about, but I think I've seen stuff like here and there, without necessarily sticking in my brain, because we either didn't talk about it here or it was just a part of my life, watching it with different people. I've talked about this recently. There was one night where, Melissa was like, I want to watch a movie with you, but I want to pick the movie. Like, she was making a grandstand,
Right.
She had planted a flag in the ground. She was like, I have had enough of your Marvel movies and your nonsense, and I shall take no more of this.
They take our lives, but they'll never take our romantic comedies.
Yeah, so she made me watch 2 of them, and I think in the back of her mind, she was like, I'm going to torture this motherfucker because I hate him. I'm going to make him watch these movies, and he's going to suffer, I tell you. And there's me going, I can see the good in everything. So I actually kind of enjoyed them, and I was able to pick out stuff that I liked about it. So what about you, Dorian? What is your take on the romance and romantic comedy genre?
Well, honestly, I'm just a film lover. There's no genre out there that I'm like, I will not watch this. Well, except for snuff films, but I don't really think that's an accepted genre, really. Don't want that coming back in the comments. Dorian Price watches snuff films.
The genre feels like a strong word for snuff films.
Right. But of all the stuff I'll say bad, or I've talked about that was bad about my childhood, the one thing that I will give it day in and day out to the people that raised me is that they instilled in me a love of films. So even from an early age at this movie theater that would play old movies pretty much all the way up to like the 80s was kind of their cutoff, because it's like, okay, it's late 90s, let that decade die, and then we'll think about it. But I was raised on like grand, epics like Gone with the Wind and romances like Rebecca, and, some of the great ones out there. I'm not going to go through a list of all of them, but I have a very interesting relationship with romantic comedies. I have a big thing. If the movie has cheating in it, I'm out. I will walk away. Like, unless I'm like actually reviewing and then like, okay, I have to sit through this and I'll just bitch about it on the podcast. Like anything like that, no, game's over. But like, I have a weird relationship with romantic comedies, because if it's too by the numbers, where I can almost like quote the lines that they're going to say before they've said it, and I've never seen the movie, no. But some of my favorite romantic comedies, again, Pretty Woman's at the top of the list. Followed very quickly by Kate and Leopold, starring Hugh Jackman during his Wolverine time, but as a 17th or an 18th century gentleman, which is, if you haven't seen it, it's absolutely fantastic. But the list goes on from there. I enjoy them. I enjoy watching them on my own. I mean, it's always more fun with a significant other to watch, those movies. So I was happy about Mick's new job, but also bummed because I was like, man, I was excited to watch these with you, and life decided to be a bitch.
Hi, Mac.
Hello. I'm very sorry I left you guys high and dry, but I bought a brand new, really cool professional mic, and installing it completely screwed up my system for these kinds of conversations.
It does that.
Yeah.
Even in the future, nothing works. Hey, I want to throw a an audible at you guys. Because as we were talking, it got me thinking about something, because like I know I've seen more than just Pretty Woman. So I brought up a list from Variety, the 50 most romantic movies of all time. And I just want to get a yay or nay on these, and maybe a quick comment if you've got one. Are you guys game?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm in.
So it's always fun to do a list. That's what the Casual Heroes taught me. All right. So let's just get right into this. Dirty Dancing. I have seen Dirty Dancing. I quote Dirty Dancing. I love Dirty Dancing.
So many times. Actually, it's funny. And here's my comment on it, and then I'll shut up and let Mac talk. Mick and I were literally at Pawn and Pint on a date day the other day, and
Mhm.
they were doing musical bingo, and I Had the Time of My Life came on, and the host was making the joke about like, this is the part where he lifts her. So I literally grabbed my chair, flipped it around, stood up on it, had Mick stand in front of me, and put her hands up like she was holding me while I put my hands out like this. And the freaking DJs were like, commitment. That is love and commitment right there.
Fantastic. But you, Mac?
I liked it. I didn't love it.
Mhm.
It's.
Get out.
I'll give it this.
Get out.
It
You're
did-
fired.
No. It didn't miss any notes. My problem with Dirty Dancing is expressive dancing doesn't really hit it for me. Like,
Much like Footloose, I like dancing as a editorial comment on conservatism and religious values versus more progressive socialized culture.
yes, I agree completely. But as a storytelling device, it sort of lets me out.
It worked, but I
Yes,
think
it did.
it's a classic movie, and but yeah.
All right. I don't talk about this much. I think about it all the time, more than I should, which makes me a weirdo. But I keep waiting for a moment to show my kids Splash. I have not done so. I am derelict. Again, showed my son the bad parts of the Bad Lieutenant, but haven't showed him Splash yet. And I want,
That says a lot, doesn't it, Mark?
It really does. You must see Weeping Harvey Keitel before you become a teenager. Why, Father? Why?
We don't want to see sexy girls. Oh boy.
Daryl Hannah and Tom Hanks in Splash. I remember this one as a kid, and it has always stuck with me. It's weird because I haven't watched it in a few decades, but I can still remember Daryl Hannah eating the lobster with the gel on. Tom Hanks's laugh. This is early peak Tom Hanks. Before dramatic. This is early peak comedian Tom Hanks. This is great stuff.
Kind of. It is.
I have seen this movie. I was hooked by my aunt, albeit adoptive. It was on TV, and she was like, "You got to watch this." And I was like, "What the hell is this? Your weird '80s things?" And she was like, "No. Tom Hanks, the voice of Woody, falls in love with a mermaid." And I was like, "I'm in. Let's do it."
Daryl Hannah, the kids might not know her earlier than her work in Kill Bill with the one eye, but she was a sex symbol back in the day. She was Hotsy Totsy.
Well,
in fact.
I saw Splash after I saw Blade Runner, so I was like, oh, "Shit, Tom Hanks, run!"
I have never
Daryl
seen.
Hannah doesn't get. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Daryl Hannah doesn't get a lot of credit as an actress because she's the body beautiful. She's kind of the bimbo part, but this and a couple of other movies, she committed fully. She's playing the literally the fish out of water.
Yeah. Splash is great.
Yeah, and she committed fully. The lobster scene is also what I remember. And then them discussing that they wanted kids. And he said boys or girls, and she says what kind. I thought, yeah, okay. And she didn't make a joke of it. She's looking at him like, what kind? Like you left that out.
What is your name? Madison. No, your mermaid name. Oh, you wouldn't understand it.
No,
just tell me. I want to know your name. So funny. I have never seen
glasses breaking. It's great.
Yeah. I have never seen the Bridges of Madison County.
I'm afraid I haven't either.
Okay. I have. We'll move.
The floor is yours.
We'll move quickly past it. It's Cammy, you know who I'm talking about, Mac.
I do.
Legal Guardian. Loved that movie. It was like if I hadn't been with her when she bought it, it'd been one of those ones that you like hid under her mattress with like the vibrator and shit like that, because that was
yeah.
I did see it later simply because as a photographer and I really like Clint Eastwood. I watched it again on my own. It's not a bad movie. It's nothing to write home about. But it is a classic in the sense that it is shot and written very well, and it is not a romantic comedy. It is a romantic tragedy in many cases.
Yes. I have never seen The Notebook, though. Sean Comer and I had a hearty laugh when we were discussing a Refn film where I think it's like Only God Knows or something like that, and it's got Ryan Gosling in it. And at one point, he reaches into a woman's womb from just kind of digs in there like the high priest in the Temple of Doom. And we had thought about like cutting that scene into copies of The Notebook and ruining it for everybody.
You're going straight to hell, Mark.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes or no on The Notebook, fellas.
I have seen it. It's cliche.
Go ahead.
I would say the end makes me cry, but I'm a weeper, and everyone on this show knows that. So that's really It's not bad. It's a Nicholas Sparks novel, and much like a lot of his books that made it to the big screen, it's very much by the numbers. But if you're looking for a will they, won't they, Romeo and Juliet style romance, Notebook's good for you. Go ahead.
I didn't see it, but mostly because I started hearing about what was going on the set between the principal actor and actress. They didn't quite get along.
No.
I think they had genuine artistic differences. I think they really pissed each other off. Everybody I know who saw it was very satisfied with the output.
Yeah.
But can you imagine doing, really sticky romantic love scenes with somebody that you really don't like the look or smell of?
Acting is a commitment.
You're like kissing up her shoulder to her neck and be like, I hate you so much.
Okay, we've all seen The Sound of Music, yes?
Yes.
No, never once. I'm kidding.
I think I saw once, and I think I actually saw a stage production of once because Melissa dragged me to it. Now, seeing is a strong word, as I'm pretty sure I slept through most of it, and it's a big reason why we're not together anymore. But I remember, I feel like she made me watch this because she sometimes thinks that she's really Irish. Dorian?
I've never seen it.
Mac?
I have seen it several times, actually.
Yeah.
And this is one of those musicals that feels like an interrupted concert. The music is great, but they move, they do scene, stop, the hills are alive. It's okay. You know why she's singing? Is this? I don't even understand why she's singing it at the time she's singing it. It's like, is this the right time to be celebrating? It doesn't seem to fit. That's what I mean. It's an interrupted concert. The music's fantastic. It's even cute in places, but it doesn't tell a story sequentially. So I think to myself, well, they should have just gotten on a stage and sang.
It's funny that you say that, Mac, because literally I was interested in seeing it, and a friend of mine kind of broke it down the same way you did. It's like, it's not a bad movie. You probably enjoy it. I'm like, but you the look on your face is telling me you're hiding something. He's like, I'm going to put my review into one sentence. The music's great. And then they start talking.
Pretty Woman is the reason why people think you're going to get Pretty Womaned, but in reality, you get a NORAD. Boy, Pretty Woman has done as much damage to women's psyches as the average princess movie, the animated Disney princess movie, in setting unrealistic expectations of what happens in a relationship. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's as fantastical and mythological as any Marvel movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I want to break in really quickly on this movie because we don't want to go too deep into it because we could do a deep dive. But can we all agree that the best and most fantastic part of this movie is Hector Elizondo as the concierge?
Yes, I 100% agree with that. He really shone in this movie.
But we have a problem. The dress doesn't fit. No, it's not that. It's all right, Miss Vivian, we'll go through this again. Starting from the outside in, this is your salad fork. That is your shrimp fork.
Sometimes there's three times. Oh, God.
Yeah, Pretty Woman is great, but it is one of those Faustian bargains with culture where people took the wrong lessons from Pretty Woman. And today we have Honora reminding us that is the unfortunate reality. Mississippi Masala, I have never seen, guys.
No.
Nope. I got nothing here.
I love Say Anything. Oh my God, what a 90s movie this was, even though it came out in 1989. But it is kind of like the prologue to your 90s novel. And if you haven't either imagined or actually been John Cusack standing outside her window with a boombox over your head, you have no soul. Fantastic stuff. Just love Say Anything. And I'll tell you, if she's like, tell me a reason to watch this, even if I hate romantic comedies or romance movies. His speech at the table, I don't want to buy anything bought, sold. I swear to God, became like, he incidentally became every slacker guy's war cry. Whether they realize, like, they think it's Fight Club. No. You're more John Cusack can say anything than you are Tyler Durden.
I didn't see it, but I saw bits of it, and it's like when she's standing outside her window with the boombox, I'm thinking, this is every man who is completely unable to express his deepest emotions wish. I'm going to hire a singer and a band that says something that I can't say and then hold it up. I'm not even committing to doing that. He's not singing it. He's letting somebody else sing it. I'm sorry, that's a cop-out.
I have seen this movie several times. I had an ex-girlfriend that was in love with a band called Say Anything, which is an amazing band.
Oh, Dorian, that's my ex-wife's favorite band.
Bail out.
Get some coffee, get an aspirin, just walk away for a little bit.
Consonar, Crazy Ivan. She really liked it because the band had taken their name from this movie, and so at one point I did have we had a long distance relationship. She lived up north. I was in she lived in Michigan. I was in Missouri, but I did go up there and surprise her with an iPod with 2 speakers on it and hold it over my head outside her dorm, which everyone thought was adorable. But so yes, I have seen the movie several times. I can probably quote it far better than I'd like to.
I haven't seen The Way We Were since I was a child because it's one of those things that my dad taped off the television, and it was on the same VHS tape as something else I really wanted to watch.
Was it Star Wars?
It might have been Star Wars. Everything was Star Wars. But yeah, I remember, like, I'm almost 90% certain I saw this and Yentl. Again, Dad's a big Streisand fan. When I saw
Yentl
when I was a really young kid, but I don't remember anything about The Way They Were except for the song, which, again, I know I'm the metal guy, but The Way We Were is one of the most prettiest songs ever written.
Yeah, and Barbara does it a lot of service. I mean, she's got that voice. And to her credit, she won't sing anything she doesn't believe in, she doesn't feel. I did see the movie, and I remember thinking, this is one of those rare moments when a moment needs to be expressed in a song that you're seeing happen. It doesn't stop. You don't stop and have a concert. She's trying to find a way to say all the tragedy she's feeling. What are you grinning about, young man?
Hey, he laughed too.
She's trying to find some way to express it, and then it comes out of her as song. It makes perfect sense to me. I remember being angry when they began to fight. When the rom-com reaches a place where the lovers fight, I remember thinking that was the worst contrived thing I'd ever seen. I thought, this is a great movie. They shouldn't be fighting. There's just no reason for this breakup.
I don't think I know this one. Carol, you guys?
No. I saw The Bodyguard.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to let you take this one because I'm a huge fan of Whitney Houston. I reviewed her biopic. I know a lot about her life now, but I don't think I actually sat through The Bodyguard. I was aware of the culture surrounding it and the music in it. So go ahead, Mac. This is a movie for every guy who ever picked up a katana and momentarily wished himself to be a samurai, because Kevin Costner, he actually fills that role. He's a modern day samurai. Now, he won't call himself that. He doesn't do anything overtly Japanese or cultural. He's just the guy that runs into the fray when no one else will, and he wins when no one else should. And the music presented there is because Whitney's character is in the music industry. In fact, one of the more tense scenes is happening during her concert. They know she's being stalked. They know the guy means business. He's already hurt a couple of people. And she's standing there, and she tells him, look, this is my life. I have to do this. And now he's looking out over a sea of people, any one of whom might be in a position to kill her. As it turns out, it's the cameraman, far stage left. He's aiming the camera at her.
And he's got a gun in the camera. Worse than that, it's another former, friend of our leads. And just to wrap up on that, I fucking love this movie, partially because it did something I hadn't seen a movie do, really. It's like it gives you the romantic comedy that, the girls would want, but it also gives you the action and the tension that the guys would want, and puts it in such a way that both parties can watch it and go, this was a lot of fun. Finally, I have to make one slam at Kevin Costner. There's a lot of movies I watch him in, and I'm like, can someone switch Kevin on? Because I think he's gone into sleep mode. This movie, I I'm Kevin Costner and I'm emoting right now, works because he's a bodyguard. Like, he can get
Exactly.
emotional.
And he's a samurai bodyguard.
Yeah, it's like you kind of push him there. So this movie was like, it's perfect.
Before
Yeah,
I decided
you already-
before I decided to throw the triple feature structure completely in the trash and just and do a casual heroes, I had a thought, and the thought was, I'm sitting here saying I don't like romance movies, romantic comedies, or whatever. I know I've seen a lot of them, and that was kind of what drew me to this. But it was like, but romance is an integral part of almost anything I do watch because it shows up in action movies. It shows up in fantasy. And the first thing I thought of was The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Yes, I think that's a fine example.
Yeah. So there it is at number 35, and I have seen this movie a zillion times. I've showed it to my kids. This is one of those ones, like, at one point in my life, along with Spaceballs, I could recite from beginning to end.
Oh, yeah.
I never got that bad, but I'm pretty close.
Yeah, this
is a fantastic film, and it's what's so great about it is it's so rewatchable, and it shouldn't be. There's something that my generation says a lot, and actually we've said it like within the last couple of days. Usually when we're talking about songs, there's a term that says this song slaps more than it has any right to. This movie slaps harder than it has any right to. This should have been a forgotten one that's set next to like Black Cauldron and like The Sword and the Sorcerer of like, oh yeah, no, I mean, if you're like a hardcore fantasy fan, you'll probably love this. But this movie's become so iconic and well known that, it's genius.
This movie masters in equal parts sarcasm and earnest, and that's why it works.
Well, and it's also devotedly fairy tale-ish. I mean, it's The Princess Bride, but they managed to address some fairly intense concepts here. The hopeless battle, the longed love, how long do you wait? I mean, the how much do you vote yourself to one thing before you count your life over?
Right.
It's just and they never left it. I mean, look at the photo we're looking at. Two people, the sun is shining behind them, and that shouldn't work. It's too hokey. But those characters were that intense. When
people talk about relationship goals and idealized romance, this is what they should be looking at.
Yes, absolutely. Because it shows them both how it should look and why it won't work.
Well, I've commented about this ad nauseum. I've seen Past Lives because it was nominated for an Oscar, the 2024 Oscar. So Robert and I talked about this at length. Have you guys seen it?
I'll go to the top of this list and tell you I not only haven't seen it, I've never heard of it.
Good. Dorian.
I've heard of it, never got the chance to see it.
You're not missing much, even though it was nominated for an Oscar. All right. That's the original Beauty and the Beast. I've seen Love and Basketball. I don't remember a lot about it. You guys, real quick?
No, afraid not.
I enjoyed it, actually. It's really good.
Okay. I don't know Call Me By Your Name. You guys?
Nope.
Not really, no.
I think I decided for one of the next year's Pride movies, I want to focus on Luca Guadagnino. And I think I threw this on there. So I will see it eventually. I have never seen Vertigo, though it's been mentioned by film
Oh,
stars.
God.
Okay. You have, I guess?
Oh, yeah. One of my top fives. This, again, another romantic tragedy movie. This has got to be one of Hitchcock's best. It actually has been constantly fought back and forth on not only IMDb's list, but the American Film Institute's list as the best movie of all time, obviously going head-to-head with Citizen Kane. I believe this movie is far better than Citizen Kane because it paints such the part of love that is obsession. And
yes.
whether or not, you are being bad about being obsessed with your significant other, there is a hint of obsession in any amount of love. I mean, it's hopefully a healthy amount of obsession. And Vertigo is this is what happens when everything goes to hell version.
Yeah, when everybody indulges their darkest side of that feeling.
Speaking of going to hell, La La Land. Never saw it.
I saw it. It's not hell.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, it's actually, it's light. It's entertaining. Now, if you're expecting something other than a song and dance movie, don't go.
Yeah.
There's not a lot there.
Watch the trailer.
I have seen Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind on my children's lives. I couldn't tell you anything about it other than Jim Carrey's in it.
I saw it once, and I think it was distracted. Jim Carrey's a good actor. He doesn't get a lot of the breaks he should have.
This was a very niche indie movie, and I think that's
Yeah.
why a lot of people buy. But it is worth watching. I would say put it on your list, give it a watch. If you can't, you can always yell at me later.
I agree. I think it's worth watching.
I saw 4 Weddings and a Funeral when it came out. It's great. You know, it's young Hugh Grant. It's young Andy McDowell. It's fun stuff here.
I have never seen this one. It's on my list, but I've never seen it.
I've seen it once.
It's got significant enough like dramatic chops in it that
it does.
It makes it worth watching. It's definitely one of those like, are you in the mood for something that reminds you you're an adult? This is that movie.
Well, and the risks of being adult, everything from falling in love to dying. I mean, the title, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, insinuates the clock is ticking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have all this circusry and all this fanfare, but there's a grave waiting for you. Get it done.
I've never seen Out of Sight. Mac?
Nope.
Dorian?
No, but I've seen clips of it, including the most popular one of Jennifer Lopez leaning forward on the table and going, "Really? Who gives a shit?"
Okay. I've never seen The Unbearable Lightness of Being.
No.
I have never seen A Star Is Born.
Not the original.
Remains of the Day. No.
Remains of the Day is awesome.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson. Anthony Hopkins plays this very tight-laced butler who's kind of, the world's changing around him and as well. And Emma Thompson is, instead of her playing the young, everything is beautiful and you are old, so let me make you young again. She's like kind of on a similar path. And it is very British, so it can be very dry, but it's definitely one, like, give it a watch if you're a film lover. I don't want to put too much into it. Like, again, I could do a deep dive on that one.
All right, I've seen Sid and Nancy. It's fantastic.
Actually,
nope, not me.
I showed we were talking about Gary Oldman the other day, and it's like how he hit 50 and just kind of stopped, like, or he looked 50 his entire life, and I was like, back in 1986, he did not. And I showed him a picture of Sid and Nancy, and they're like, what the fuck?
I have not seen Moonlight yet, though. It's on my short list of things to throw on the review list.
Didn't even know about that one.
Okay. Never seen The Apartment.
It's good.
And I watched An Officer and a Gentleman. Stop me if you've heard this one before, because my dad taped it off television.
But you didn't watch it because Star Wars Return of the Jedi was on the other side, and that's what you wanted to see.
Yeah. So I've seen it once when I was a child and never again.
It fortifies a whole bunch of really nasty stereotypes, one of which is a woman's principal use in life is to land the right guy. And that's just, I'm sorry.
Gotcha. In the Mood for Love, I've never seen. Oh, who hasn't seen Moonstruck?
Yeah.
When the sun hits your eye like a big pizza pie. That's amore, don't you understand?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, God.
Dorian, you call yourself a film student?
Okay, I haven't gotten to it yet.
Stop yelling at him. He's seen Vertigo. Like,
yes.
I think
Yeah. You know what?
This occurred at the time in life when Cher was trying to assert herself as a high-profile actress, and she had the chops. And this is one of her.
Hey, Mac, snap out of it. So good.
She did great.
Highly recommend watching Moonstruck.
Yes.
Haven't seen it since it came out, but you know that lives rent free in my brain. Not seen City Lights. I have not seen Bonnie and Clyde. Did see Sid and Nancy though. Yeah.
Neither of you have seen Bonnie and Clyde?
Nope.
Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. This is where I guess make up for Moonstruck in a way for the classic film. Not totally make up for it, but the percentage raised. No, Bonnie and Clyde is, again, it is a romantic tragedy, obviously, because we all know what happened to Bonnie and Clyde. But it is very much I think it kind of started that runaway, live on the wild side kind of romantic movie that we've gotten from time to time. Where like the girl who's stuck in a life that, you know, is going nowhere meets this crazy bad boy. And again, it's going to go badly. And there's almost this idea at the start of the movie when they run off together. And again, obviously it's based on history, but you know, there's this idea and there's this one shot where she looks back at her house for a second and then gets into the crook of Warren Beatty's shoulder.
Oh wait, I take it back. I have seen this.
Okay.
Keep going.
But yeah, no, it's as this like, well, if you don't know who these two people are, you know this is going to end badly, and it's the criminal version of Romeo and Juliet. And
Yeah.
'Cause I think I did this. I think so. My friends and I used to have movie nights. I know that's a big shock to everybody. And this is like late high school, early college, and I remember like we did a double feature of Bonnie and Clyde and Sid and Nancy. So, the Before trilogy has been suggested to me to do as a Long Road to Ruin. I have not done that yet.
I haven't
Nope.
seen it either.
Annie Hall.
Annie Hall with gross pervert Woody Allen.
Yep, haven't seen it. I've been told by my professors that I should see it because it's a kind of a masterclass in writing. But I'm like, I kind of have this thing against Woody Allen that I can't get past.
I'm not the type that goes, well, he's problematic, so I'm not going to watch anything because then I would watch nothing. On the other hand, Woody Allen. Ugh.
You know, I've I've done a lot of Woody Allen. I've done it on a stage. He's a good writer. He's actually a really good writer. And if you play around with the lines, you get even more out of it. But if you've seen one Woody Allen movie, you've seen all of them. And if that's cool with you, if is that like James Bond for you, then go see it. But
so before we started doing this list, you guys had been talking about something, and in the back of my head, I'm like, I know I've seen more than Pretty Woman, and I was like, Jerry Maguire, does that count as a romance? Yeah, I guess that counts as a romance. Well, here it is at number 12. I have seen Jerry Maguire.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone fucking says that line.
Of Bridget Jones, Mad About a Boy, in it as well. So there's a connection.
There you go. Yeah, Jerry Maguire is great. That's good.
I've
stuff.
never seen it.
Oh, really?
Roman Holiday.
Good. Yeah.
I have seen Roman Holiday though.
Okay. We've all seen Gone with the Wind. All 12 hours of it.
I have not.
You have not seen Gone with the Wind?
Really?
I will not watch it.
Okay, no. Okay, I can explain this. I'm gonna let
Woody Allen.
No, Gone with the Wind.
I was thinking, this is reason for not watching it too much Woody Allen.
No. There is a Mac Kettner quote, and he can.
Oh no.
This is not why, or he can agree with me. At one point, I was doing backstage stuff for Les Mis at Starlight Theater here in Kansas City, and I got an extra ticket. And I was like, hey, we're doing this show. I know I'm not on stage for it, but like, my work is there. And I know you love musicals and stuff like that. So would you like the extra ticket? And literally what I got back in text, and I almost quote, was, Dorian, I love you. And I always appreciate, you reaching out to me and, for opportunities to go out and hang. But I'm going to be honest with you. My life is depressing enough. I don't need to go see a show that is literally called The Miserables.
I just don't. And if I know ahead of time that I'm dealing with a tragedy, tragedies can be cathartic, but I have to be in just the right place to watch one. So I've never seen it.
All right, so just the top 10 here. Number 9, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I have never seen it.
Never seen it.
Number 8, Brokeback Mountain, reviewed it for Pride Month 2-3 years ago. With
I have not gotten and I love Ang Lee's stuff. This is one that for some reason keeps slipping past me, and I don't get the chance to see it. And I really want to.
You really should.
It
earns every bit of credit it's been given.
The bits I've seen are just as astonishing, and like Dorian, I've been meaning to watch it. I just haven't done it.
Okay. Ghost. Yeah, I've seen Ghost.
Yeah.
I saw that one in the movies. And Ghost is funny because, like, what it's known for is, sweet, sexy time between Patrick Swayze at the height of his powers and Demi Moore. But what people forget is that it kind of turns into an action horror movie at the end.
It really does, which I think sets it apart. It's fantastic. Like, the comedy with Whoopi Goldberg and him singing 38. Shut up! I'll do whatever you want. Just stop singing.
Yeah.
You endanger child.
And again, obviously the scene that is shown in the picture here of them doing the clay sculpture thing is iconic. But I have to be honest, the part that lives rent free in my head is when he's fighting the guy who got him killed at the end, and he goes through the window and the guy gets stabbed and is dead. And the look again, Patrick Swayze can go from not great acting to amazing acting. The look on his face, even though this is the man who's betrayed him, and he knows he's dead now. And I can't remember the character's name, but he's like, "Oh, Bob," and there's just this look of heartbreak on his face as these people, like yank him to hell. In my head, rent free for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ghost is a really great and weird blend of genres, but yeah, everyone remembers the pottery scene. I don't know Brief Encounter. I have not seen this iteration of A Star Is Born.
I actually got to see both of them side by side. Oh my god! Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Moulin Rouge. I've seen that.
Sean and I did the entire Red Curtain trilogy, and that's the first time I had seen Moulin Rouge. I have a lot of comments about this movie. Go see the podcast. I chewed Sean's ear for a long time about Moulin Rouge.
I loved it.
To catch
My man, Cary Grant.
Oh yes, this one's perfect. Hitchcock.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 2, I avoided Titanic for a really, really long time because I am at heart a punk rocker, and if it's too popular, I run up the down staircase. But eventually, as a film person, I had to be a big boy and watch the goddamn thing, and it's fine. I get why chicks like it.
Well, I'm glad.
I understand the broads, Dorian. Don't you understand?
Fair.
I'm guessing you two have seen this.
Yes.
I have, yes.
Okay.
Several times.
The overwhelming emotion that passes through the movie is you already know what's going to happen. So everyone you're falling in love with, you're already sad. And every time they go to a part of the ship that you know anything about that's sitting on the bottom of the sea right now, you feel very differently than they do looking at it. That's really the appeal. I mean, it was well done. It was well shot. It was a hellacious acting job.
Oh yeah, and that I mean, everybody kind of walked away friends. However, ironically enough, my favorite moment from this movie comes from Titanic. Comes from Captain Smith when he turns and to Ismay, who's the douchebag, who is the White Star Line, he's basically the producer, and he turns to him, and it's just cold on him, extreme close up. Well, I think you may get your headlines, Mr. Ismay. But my most favorite part of that movie has nothing to do with the romance. It's literally the ship is sinking. Everyone's running around crazy. And the actor, I don't remember his name, he's playing a real life character named Mr. Guggenheim. And he's all dressed in his evening best, top hat, scarf, cape, whole shebang, with his, I'm assuming, manservant or another friend, whatever. And this steward comes up and goes, a life jacket for you, Mr. Guggenheim. No, thank you. We are dressed in our best and prepared to go down as gentlemen. So the guy starts to run away, and Guggenheim turns to him and goes, but we would like a brandy.
Go down
At the same moment, at the same time in the ship, when everybody's abandoning, and our principal characters are finally leaving, and they find the designer of the ship in the dining room, and he's just beside himself, and he tells them, no, you should go without me. And I'm thinking, you're going to go down with the ship? And as we leave him, he reaches up to the mantle over what looks like a fireplace and adjusts the clock as though there's a lot of moments like that.
Propriety.
That happens later in the movie. They do meet up with Thomas Andrews. He gives them a life jacket. And it's run, Rose, go, Jack. Save yourselves, blah blah. And it's in a montage of everything that's going wrong as the ship is fully now going down, and it's tilting, and the drinks are falling off the mantelpiece where this clock is set. And he opens it up and he turns it to where the time that it's going to be when the ship sinks, and then he closes it back and takes another of his drink. It's an amazing moment. It has nothing to do with dance, but
you get the impression he's talking to the guys that will find their bodies. It's like this is when it happened.
All right, and then finally, number 1 is Casablanca. I have never seen it.
Hell yeah!
Okay. I was in the room when it played. I can't really say that I've seen it. Dorian's getting pissed now.
From Moonstruck.
Yes, you do.
But Casablanca, bullet.
Well,
jerks.
All right, jerks! I defended you.
Okay, that wasn't supposed to be a plural. That was supposed to be a singular.
Yeah.
Right, well, Michelle Thomas says that is so Mac, and I don't know when that comment went up. So, we'll put it up now. And what the hell? Alrighty, Michelle Thomas,
Thank you,
live
Michelle.
tweeting our show. Fantastic. All right. Well, I think that shows our bona fides for discussing for 3 manly men talking romantic movies and comedies.
Yeah, I made the joke, Mac, before you when you were still working on your mic, that it was like this is got to be the most hilarious. I'm glad that the thumbnail for the show on YouTube doesn't have our faces, because if somebody, especially a girl, went, oh, they're going to talk about those are romance movies, it's probably like the quartet of girls that are on there, and it's the 3 of us, and they're having to explain it to a friend, like, well, who was on the show? Well, there were 3 of them. There was the resurrected corpse of Christopher Lee, the bald Jerry Garcia, and then one poor dumb kid who got lost on the wrong back road.
Yeah, right, I like that.
Let's get into good old Bridget Jones. Mad about the boy. Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy is a 2025 romantic comedy film directed by Michael Morris, from a screenplay by Helen Fielding, Dan Mazer, and Abby Morgan. The sequel to Bridget Jones's Baby from 2016, and the fourth installment in the Bridget Jones film series. It is based on the novel from 2013. It stars Squinty McSquinter, Renee Zellweger, Hugh Grant, Colin Firth, and Emma Thompson, who are reprising their roles from the previous Bridget Jones movies. Daniel Cleaver, Mark Darcy, and Dr. Rawlings, respectively, from their previous installments. Along with Baron Mordo, Leon Woodall, Isla Fisher, Josette Simon, Nico Parker, and Layla Farza joining the cast. The plot is Bridget Jones, now a widow, or rather the description of the movie. Bridget Jones, now a widowed single mother, navigates the challenges of parenthood, work, and modern dating with the support of her friends, family, and former partner Daniel Cleaver. As she re-enters the dating world, she finds herself pursued by a younger man while also forming an unexpected connection with her son's science teacher. It was released in cinemas in France, February, by Studio Canal, and in the UK, February 13th, and then it was released exclusively on streaming on Peacock, February 13th. It does not have a domestic gross because it didn't go into theaters, but on a $50 million budget, it made $134 million. So it's actually profitable on just the worldwide gross alone. Mm-hmm. Really quick, guys, starting with you, Dorian, have you seen any of the other previous Bridget Jones movies?
Yes, I had to go back and watch the third one before we did this movie just to kind of re-catch myself up. But I was raised on British TV and British movies as well as the classics. So this was fun for me. I'm a huge Colin Firth fan, which as we get into the actual storyline, I have words about Colin Firth's slight absence from this film. But we'll wait for that until the time is right. Mac, over to you.
I felt no need to fill in the gaps about Bridget Jones. I saw the first one, and I've seen this one. And the reason I saw this one is because Mark made me do it.
Fantastic.
No, don't say that. You agreed to come on here. He didn't pull the gun to your head.
What I like about that, and why I'm allowing it, Judge Radulich will allow that comment, snarky as it is because I used to do a podcast called So and So Made Me. And the premise of the podcast, the structure of it was somebody would pitch me a movie that I wasn't going to review on my own and make me watch it and review it with them. Did a couple that way. That's how I ended up reviewing The Babadook and Ink, because Robert Winfrey made me watch those. In any case, I have seen the first Bridget Jones movie. It's fine.
It is.
For what it was at the time, it left zero impact on me other than Renelle Zellweger is kind of, she's every British male actor but a girl.
Yeah.
Do you think that's how they put the first one together? It's like, well, we want Zellweger, but she's kind of like every British actor except she's a girl. Okay, then we get the top two ones that everyone goes nuts over. We get Grant, we get Firth, and we're off to the races.
I'm wondering what the casting session was like, because it was like, well, we really want this to be really be British. Like, who's the most British guy? Well, obviously Hugh Grant. Well, can he play Bridget Jones? No, because that won't be a thing until the 2020s. So, we have to actually get a girl with a vagina to do this. Well, who's the female Hugh Grant? Well, have you seen this Squinty broad?
It would have been a thing. They just would have had to put Hugh Grant with Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo and make it a sequel to that Julie Newmar.
Oh, yeah.
Like, as I'm saying that, Dustin Hoffman's running in the room going, I was in Tootsie, you motherfucker.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
You got an Oscar, you son of a bitch.
But yeah, I did not realize there were even sequels to these Bridget Jones movies. I was not paying any attention to them, and I don't think I've ever seen them. So I went into this cold, and I actually had to go to ChatGPT, had to go to Fancy, and say, so explain a few things to me. One, what the hell is the appeal of Bridget Jones? She's like, she's the girl next door, but British. I'm like, okay, I got it. She's like, she's adorkable, I think is the word the kids use these days.
And she is.
She's awkward and dopey and, and highly relatable, I believe is the phrase. The other thing I noticed is that, like, the premise of all of these movies, the whole, like, narrative flow is she's unlucky in love. So she starts off, wanting love, needing love, looking for love in all the wrong places. And she's all thumbs and she's got two left feet when it comes to love. But by the end of it, it is resolved. She finds true love and, Finn. And then in between that movie and the next movie, it'll all go to pieces and we hit a hard reset and start all over again. So I had said, well, what happened at the end of the third one? At the end of the third one, she's with the father of her kids, and they're going to have a family, and everything's going to be great. And then in between movies, he dies.
Mhm.
I'm like, what the fuck with these movies then? So that's that. Before I get into the plot of this thing, Mac, any other words or thoughts about this movie series?
Just on the name of the movie. I mean, I'm sorry, Mad About the Boy, and the boy disappears exactly halfway through the film. We spend the rest of the film with the science teacher. Not since Friday the 13th, the final chapter, has there been a badly named movie of this caliber.
That's a fair criticism. I have to wonder how much different from the book this was, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I have the same questions about the life list, but the premise of this thing, I'm not going to read it. It's essentially she's got 2 kids. She's every modern mom these days. She's single, can't find love, and her kids are driving her nuts. She's at this point, she hasn't been working. She's just a stay-at-home mom, and that is unfulfilling. She is still, in the shadow of widowhood. She does not want to date. She's still. It's 4 years later. She's still mourning the loss of her husband, and so
Yes.
she goes to a family event, and she's about sick of everyone giving her condolences and well wishes and whatnot. And she's encouraged by those around her to live again. And by live again, we mean go find penis, lots of it, just all of it, all the penis ever, just a forest full of redwood penises.
I would have given every cent of this movie back if Emma Thompson had walked up to her and gone, "Girl, you need to get dick down." In back. Proclaim this movie.
Emma could do that.
No,
Michelle Thomas weighing in. It's too many Bridget Jones movies.
There you go.
They're never too many when they're still making money, and this one did. So, yes. So, So Emma Thomas says, "Girl, you got to get freaky," and so she does. So there's a whole thing with her on Tinder and dating apps and stuff. So there are 2 men, as there always are in these movies, because no woman is complete without 2 men on either side of her. And
I'm not going to hold that against them. I've had the opposite dream.
I can see your aneurysm, Dorian.
Keep breathing, Dorian. Keep breathing.
Dorian's like, I agreed to come here willingly. So anyway, when we have a hot hunky man, and the first part of the movie, or the second, really, the third of the movie is her just like dating him until he says something stupid and then ghosts her. But the other person that she's connected to is her kid's science teacher, and he is a harsh master. He blows a whistle and makes kids nervous, and so nobody likes that.
Does a lot.
Yeah, does a lot of that. And they have disagreements on the nature of life, the universe, and everything, which is a really funny scene, actually. In the absence of the other kid, they end up being drawn to each other, and he says romantic stuff and she says romantic stuff, and then they get together in the end. And I think the guy comes back at some point, the young hunky man.
He does.
Like, yeah, like, I understand, that you are ready for commitment now, but that train has passed, sir, and I am moving on with somebody who did not hurt my feelings. And so a year later, we're at New Year's, and it's all great. And they are comfortably in a romantic, picturesque relationship together. And that is literally this movie. I'll go to you first, Dorian, so that you can excise the aneurysm I gave you. What did you think of Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy?
Okay, now the aneurysm is that, like, the whole it's not no girl is complete without 2 guys.
Yep, I stand by that, and I'll double down if you keep repeating it.
No, it's fine. No, again, I'm not disagreeing with you. Going, oh, you fucking idiot. I'm going, oh God, that's too much reality and it hurts.
Hang on. I'm going to give myself, the old, here it is.
Yeah, give yourself the...
Hang on.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
I like that one best.
I deserve that.
It's me.
Yes, you did.
It's always been me, the author of all your pain. But no, so because having been in situations, whether ringside seat or on the mat, where there was another guy coming in and it's this fucking love triangle that's like, dude, we saw Twilight. This didn't end well. Why are we doing this? But anyways, to the movie at hand. I enjoy the Bridget Jones movies. They're fun. They're pretty harmless. They are by the numbers, but one of the things this movie did, and I think a couple other reviews have said it too, because I do go back and if movies have been reviewed before, I try to watch a couple of like my favorites and stuff just to make sure I'm not repeating exactly what they said. But this movie did step away from its romantic comedy roots and take a step in a better direction. I think overall it was fun. It was nice to see the cast back together again. It was kind of like, you know, seeing an old band, you know, get back on stage after it's been, you know, over a decade since they played together. It's like, hey guys, it's been fun. How we doing? That being said,
Drum roll, please.
I have words. Okay. So, Mark and I just finished a triple feature of 80s hard body movies, which included 10. Which is very focused on the older man lusting after the much younger girl, and the point there being that the ideal that you have set up because this woman is so much younger it's not probably going to happen. Just, you know, shut the hell up. This movie pissed me off in one way, because the minute our park ranger hunk shows up, I'm like, oh well, you're toast. Because there's the thing: if an older man is lusting after a younger girl, they'll never get together. It won't happen in Hollywood because they don't like it. Because they're still too touchy about actual realistic moments where older men took advantage of younger girls, mostly actors, but also some crew and behind the scenes, lest they not be forgotten. There is the flip side of that coin of the older woman falls in love with the younger guy, and without fail, he is a moron, he is a party manimal, or he's not ready for commitment, or all of the above.
I was going to say he's Joey from Friends.
Yes, and yes, by the way, for those of you watching, I am taking this personally. It's not to me, because it's like I have again with what I do as event photography and videography, I have seen some people in their 50s and their 60s who party so hard, and I'm going to steal from a comedian here, that there are my age people and younger, you know, looking at them going, I have to go home now, Grandpa. No, it's fucking over. Get back here, you pussy. Where are you going? So there is the stigmata. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mrs. Robinson. Yeah, okay. You know, yeah, it's that same exact. Thank you, Miss Thomas. I lean on my learned colleague, Miss Thomas. But it just, I felt that the actor did really well with what he was given. It just, we already knew he was marked for death. I mean, like, not death, but like, you know. And I'm not even going to try to say his name. Baron Mordo.
Yep.
From Doctor Strange. Quetwe. Yeah, whatever.
Nope.
In my notes, I have circled literally.
Your name is consonants and vowels, not necessarily in that order.
As Billy Connolly would have said, this motherfucker should have bought a vowel years ago. He did fine, but like we knew that's the one she's gonna end up with. Something funny though, in the realm of like British romantic comedies that come to America. There's part in my head when he showed up, I'm like, dude, is he still his character from Love Actually? And him and Keira Knightley can work out? Like, he divorced her, and like now he's going after Renee Zellweger. I'm totally cool with that being its own universe.
The British romance universe. I love it.
Right? But it just that kind of upset me. But overall, it was fun. It was fine. Like, I knew it was coming the minute that, like, the way they introduced him, even the way they shot him in his first couple lines, I'm like, oh, you're toast. You know, you're either going to become just an absolute shit, or you're going to do something stupid, and she, you know, and Baron Mordo is going to steal her away. But I'm trying to like condense my notes because we spend a lot of time on that romance list, so I don't go on a whole fucking tear here. Overall, the movie was fine. I was upset that Colin Firth wasn't in it because Colin Firth is one of my favorite. Like, Colin Firth is my boy. There's a joke that me and my friends have of like, you know, if
he is in it.
Well, he is, but like he's dead.
Oh, okay.
He's there, and it's
he's
like,
got screen time, Dorian.
I know. Like, even in the trailer, like when I watched the trailer for this, and like there's a moment where he disappears.
Were you upset that he wasn't glowing blue and sitting next to fucking Renee Zellweger on a tree stump?
Wait, you know what? I would have taken that.
Well, you see, Renee Zellweger, from a certain point of view,
my death. But no, I was upset with it. Like, I understand why they took the choice to kill him off, because, like, at the end of the third one, they're married, they're having the kid, we've hit our happily ever after. Well, if you're going to do another one, then you got to go in a different direction. So I get it. It bummed me out because, again, I'm a huge Colin Firth fan. I felt like Hugh Grant's character, Daniel, was like tacked on at the end. Like, they wrote the script and then they went, shit, we didn't put Grant in there. He's got heart problems and he needs to reconnect with his son, and that's kind of a subplot.
So I have thoughts about this. Is my only real thought about this entire movie, but I'm waiting for you and Mac to get your thoughts in because I have some issues with this movie's plot structure.
Yeah,
and I'm going to use the terms. I'm going to use the terms plot structure way loosely.
Very loosely. Thank you.
And actually, this is the next thing up. And since Mark and I are continuing our tried and true comedy streak of he speaks my note before I say it, or like usually right before I say it. I'm not angry. I just think it's funny. The plot structure was all over the place. It felt like several different stories have been started and then jigsawed together.
So that I don't have to do my own thing, I'll just cut in here and piggyback on what you're saying. I was just looking at the production notes for it. This was, I guess, was always meant to be a movie, but this screamed this was supposed to be a series on Peacock, and they were like, nope, rewrite it and make it a movie. So they had to take all 8 episodes that they had plotted out and wrap it into 1 2-hour movie. This doesn't feel cohesive. This feels like this honestly feels a little like I just finished Daredevil Born Again, and that also felt compartmentalized, but that was an actual series. Yeah. So there was chapters, there were storylines that were concluded in a single episode, but an overall arcing narrative that continued. And that was kind of this movie. The overall arcing narrative is she needs to, get past the death of her husband and get back out and, learn to live and love again. But there are little chapters and stories all along the way. There's the hunky man, there's the science teacher, there's Hugh Grant stuff, because we have to do a few episodes with him. Like, it doesn't feel cohesive in any way. It feels compartmentalized.
Absolutely. And eventually Mick will watch this. So here you go, baby. Here's your another one of your shout outs. In the Grey's Anatomy TV show, the lead character's husband dies very horribly. And they take a good season and such to work that out. Even though the whole show, Grey's Anatomy, is very much like every rom-com, basically. And here we go, Mark. Here's our Patton Oswalt shout out. This week, Renee Zellweger and Hugh Grant are gonna try to fuck. Next week, Renee Zellweger and Colin Firth are gonna try to fuck. Will they fuck? Probably. Like, even in Grey's Anatomy,
the producers of and the director of Mac
comes. But no, it's like Grey's Anatomy handled this actually better, and that whole show is trying to get 2 people broken up so 2 other people can fuck. I felt this movie again. It was like we talked about plot structures all over the place. It as a closeout, and I hope it's the closeout of this series. I thought the ending worked really well. It's like, it's sensual. They, to their credit, when they jumped 1 year later, I'm like, I swear to God, if her and Baron Moore do at the altar, I am going to. I went full Tony Stark. You throw another moon at me, I am gonna lose it. But no, they were obviously dating. Things were moving forward. Kind of very sensual ending. Like they're gonna, probably have sex, and they're gonna try to fuck. But
okay, Dorian, you're up to 9 fucks. I wanted you to keep going.
Hey, it's not 1960 British radio, so we're good. So I thought that it ended very well, and this should be the ending of it. Of like, we close the book on this, because honestly, I do not want to go to theaters and watch Bridget Jones 5: Menopausal in Manhattan.
I think he's out of novels. So
yeah,
we're good. That doesn't mean in the age of streaming we're not going to get the Bridget Jones Diary series. The Bridget Jones Diary prequel, the Bridget Jones Diary
or the redo, the reboot. Yeah, Bridget Jones starting over.
The Pixar adaptation where the diary is its own character, and it's running around and has to play dead when she walks in the room.
Of course, now that I've said Bridget Jones 5: Menopausal in Manhattan, he's like, that's genius. Let's write it down.
Mac, okay. So
just wrapping up my final thought. I enjoyed this movie. If you're a fan of the Bridget Jones series, go see it. It's enjoyable. It's exactly what you're going to be expecting. And as a comfort romance, part of a romance series, it's perfect at that.
I'm going to give you my final thought, and then I'm going to throw it to Mac to conclude before we move on to the life list. I don't hate this movie. I rather liked it. I enjoyed it. I was entertained by it. My problem is I now have to apply critical analysis to it, and it doesn't. And this is what I say about a lot of movies. This is the Ronnie Adams fight that I get into, where Ronnie's like, I enjoyed it. Why do you hate this movie? Because certain movies don't survive criticism. When they are enjoyed from afar, if they're a light, if you look up in the sky and you see a light fluffy cloud, it can be anything you want it to be. It can be, it's like a Rorschach test. You look at the cloud and you go, I see, the gods, and I see cotton candy, and I see love and life, and I'm just amazed by the clouds. Except that if you get up close to it, clouds are ugly. Clouds carry rain. Clouds are not pretty in any way, shape, or form. They don't survive close-up scrutiny. Okay? Film kind of works the same way. When appreciated passively from afar, sure, they're going to be more enjoyed than not. Outside of, the high IP movies that, the studios are bobbling left and right, most studios can competently make movies. I swear they can. They've been doing, for the most part, we'll get to this with the next two movies, especially when the studio just lets people make movies, they're generally made well. The problem is, like I said, when you start to apply, this is why critic scores are always vastly different than audience scores on things like Rotten Tomatoes, and it gets misinterpreted and misunderstood, and that's a whole other conversation. But Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy is perfectly enjoyable passive entertainment. The minute I had to think about it, it fell apart. It was, a piece of cloth that unraveled the moment I touched it. Like I said, there were plot structure issues. There were other things that I had some problems with. And I was like, gosh, I don't want to tear this movie apart, but that's kind of the whole point of the podcast, is to look at these movies and analyze them up close. So, it's like you guys talk about like the Shea Doctrine and whatnot. I'm knowing when something is important, but not necessarily liking it. In this case, I like it, but I don't think it's the best well-made movie I've seen. I think it's, I think in terms of enjoyability, it's high, but in terms of quality, it's kind of low. And I'll throw it to you, Mac, for the final word on this and your thoughts.
Well, I couldn't agree more about, I like to think of enjoying movies, enjoying any kind of art, the way we enjoy food. Sometimes what you want is a vanilla ice cream cone. You need that. You want that feeling. You want that vanilla bean or whatever you're getting into. It's not complex. It's not difficult. It has no structure. It's just fluff. That's where I'm seeing with Bridget Jones. Other times you want the complexity of the Star Wars saga, and you want every lace in place. You want it all overlaying each other and sending to the next movie. But Bridget Jones doesn't answer that. I completely agree that the plot structure is messed up, and I'm going to forward a theory. I think they filmed a different movie, and the editors took it apart and put it back together. I offer as evidence Ilsa Fisher. What the hell is she doing in this movie? That's a top-line A+ actor. They gave her, 20, 30 lines on screen, and she doesn't play a principal role.
Hello, I'm an extra, and my work is done.
Yeah, now Emma Thompson, she likes doing things like that. She's got this one scene, but it's a pivotal scene. It matters. So you see why she'd want to do that. But they get rid of the boy halfway through. Now, I could blame this on the book. I have not read the book, so I don't know. But you get rid of the title boy, the boy that's made the title. He's gone, and like Dorian says, we knew he was going to be gone by the way he was presented. And then we bring in all this other stuff. And if you look at this as though it might have been a different movie put together backwards and then resubstituted, it makes a lot more sense. For instance, if Colin Firth is a ghost in the beginning of the movie, the logical thing to do regarding the previous movies is he stays with her through this entire transition, lovingly watching over her. He doesn't. He pretty much goes away after the first 20, 30 minutes. What was he there to do?
He's supposed to be the exemplified by the white owl that's outside the entire movie. And then
I know, but
what's happening there,
really, I get that, and I think I'm not going to call that a reach. I think that matters. But he should be more present. If we're going to have him at the beginning, he's this memory of this guy she's lost. Now, I get that, but then that device goes away. The rest of her movies, all the rest of her life, they don't appear. There's nothing there. I just think this is ice cream to begin with, but it started out as vanilla ice cream. Somebody wanted to make it to a banana split, and they didn't have the banana.
I have to assume the book delves deeper into what it's like to mourn the love of your life and but you still have life to live, and so you have to go through the process you have to go through the rigmarole of processing your trauma and learning to love and trust again. The problem is, I think the movie kind of points at it, but goes, well, we don't want to upset people, so we're going to lightly touch on that from about 100 yards, but we're not going to delve too deep into it. We're going to more play up her, oh, look at me, I have 2 kids, and it's overwhelming, and I'm a mom, and when she sits there, she's like, I just want a minute apiece. I could see women throwing their panties in the audience. Like, yay, relatable. I know that I've been that woman. I know what it's like to have kids and not have a moment to yourself. They leaned hard into that and not enough into what the whole point of the movie is. It's called Mad About the Boy. I have to imagine in the book, the boy played a more prominent role, like you said, Mac. And I think they cut a lot of that down because you have to get the transition from Bridget to mourning the loss of her husband and not wanting to live life. Dude, there's a line in this movie that actually cracked me up hard, and it was like, why is your mom still wearing why is your granny still wearing pajamas? And for whatever reason, that line tickled me. But the point of the line is the pajamas are representative of her being stuck in life. She's not living, she's a zombie.
Which I think is a little too overdone. If I can just hop in real quick, I would love to see us start approaching that as, instead of the bathrobe and the tank, like for guys, it's usually like the bathrobe and the tank top and like the pajama pants, and like for girls, it's it's usually the full matching set of jammies that are all buttoned up. I'd love to see them actually try something where it's like they're buttoned up, they're going out and they're doing stuff, but they're in a loop. Yeah. It's like they're just repeating the same things because they know that works and that there's some stability there.
A movie that handles the theme that they were going for better gets her to dating in the first 10 minutes of the movie, not 45 minutes into it. And then we're only 2 scenes with the boy. Mm-hmm. And for the impact of that line of I wish I had a time machine to have really hit harder than it did, you needed to see more of their relationship. I don't know why he said it. It's not evident in the movie.
There are 3 possibilities, but there's no clear evidence as to which one he's talking about.
For a line like that, okay, so the best example I can give of this, and we're going to move on. I'll give you guys final words, and then we'll move on. But Good Will Hunting builds up to Minnie Driver begging for Matt Damon to get out of his own way and come with her to where I think it was California. And when he says, I don't love you, it hurts. I remember the reaction from me and my friend, my best friend Tom. We were watching that in the movies, and it killed us. Like he's a little more of a toughie than I am, but I think I cried. Like that line hurt me. The look in Matt Damon's face, the shock and the crushing blow at Delta Minnie Driver. It's such a well acted scene. But the thing with Good Will Hunting is it took you there. It took there's so many scenes of Minnie Driver and Matt Damon with each other, exploring each other, arguing with each other, learning each other, to where you're like, it's obvious she's the love of your life. Go to California, get out of your own way, which is what the whole movie is about. And Matt Damon, gets to the lip of Mount Doom, and he won't throw the ring into the lava. He fails. That is the magnitude of that scene. It's like Frodo in the goddamn ring. So you are there with them, and when he says, "No, I don't love you," it has like Moab impact. And when he says, "I wish I had a time machine," it has no impact because you didn't go on that journey with them, which is my problem. One of my big problems with this movie. I want to remind people I actually enjoyed it, but you also want to hear what my criticisms of films are. That's it. It's you shied away from everything that would have been impactful to keep it light. And in doing so, you did the film and probably the book a huge disservice. Mac, Dorian, and then we're moving on.
Yeah, I agree. I saw a much better movie. Keep Colin Firth in as a resident ghost. They never really told us whether he was just a memory or an actual ghost. relabel the movie The Awakening or The Reawakening of Bridget Jones. Keep the kid in. They were dealing with this very not just they dealt with this in such a British way. I wanted to strangle him. Suppose she'd been actually in love with him, and suppose he'd had the brass to say, you know what, I see this coming, and I still want it. I get that he failed initially, but the reason this didn't go is because British cannot have Bridget Jones happily ever after with a young hunky guy. We can't have that. I feel like this is ice cream. I mildly enjoyed the movie, but I kept thinking things like, what did he mean by that? The time machine. There are 2 or 3 things I can think of that mean I wish I could go back in time. I wish you could come forward in time. I wish we could join each other at the beginning of time.
I wish I could put you in a time machine so you'd be younger and hotter.
Well, okay, or me older. Either way, let's get even. That's really all he's saying, I think. Right. But they never really go into that, and then he drops her right after that. So I'm dissatisfied. It wasn't a bad Bridget Jones movie. I just didn't get a lot of satisfaction out of it.
And I'm just gonna very quickly agree with that. I honestly thought the I wish I had a time machine line was more for not like, again, I get the whole like I wish you could be young and hot again, you know, because that's kind of how they got, like, slowly they painted him as awesome, and then it was like, wait, no shit, you're young, we can't do this, and now you're evil. Well, not evil, but you know, again,
you're weak and stupid.
Might as well have been.
Again, yeah. At this point, if he had showed up at the end with like a top hat and a twisty mustache and had like,
I was gonna say, so he says the time machine line, and then he walks into the bathroom, and a panel opens, and there's the emperor, and he's kneeling. You know, what is thy bidding, my master?
Renee Zellweger cannot at this time date a much younger man. I James Mason am saying that. I am. It's true.
You will go back into the bedroom and break her heart, but bang her one more time, because that is the way of the Sith.
Right. Now, I think if you're a fan of Bridget Jones, you'll enjoy it. It's not by any means horrible. It's just it's unstructured, and again, like Mark said, you don't come to the show to hear us go, oh my god, we loved it like so fucking much, because then it would be a very short show. Like, oh cool, they liked it, great.
We don't get enough of that though.
It just didn't. To me, it didn't land, and yeah, I'm taking the whole young guy thing personally. I've seen several couples in real life that have, you know, huge age differences. And since this one was 20 years, I'm going to step 2 years down. I have seen couples that have 18 years difference in age work perfectly. I've seen couples that have 18 years age difference work horribly. I have had a ringside seat for that one. Mac knows what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So again, it felt like they played up one thing and then couldn't land the plane. Yeah. But it didn't land on the tarmac.
This got an 89% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually the most liked of the 3. So, you know, but I think sometimes critics like hate on things because of their own personal stuff. Sometimes they like on things for their own personal stuff, and neither one match the quality of the film. That said, let's move on to The Life List, another novel adaptation. The Life List is a 2025 American romantic comedy film starring Sophia Carson, who you might remember from The Descendants, Kyle Allen, and Connie Brinton. It was written and directed by Adam Brooks. If you don't know who Alan Brooks is, well, you should. He wrote Napoli Ever After. I apologize. He also directed and wrote Definitely Maybe. He wrote Bridget Jones' The Edge of Reason. He wrote Wimbledon, starring cutie patootie Kirsten Dunst. He wrote and directed The Invisible Circus. Wrote Practical Magic, The Beloved, French Kiss. He directed in 1987 an American-Israeli fantasy film called Red Riding Hood, and that's enough of that.
Wasn't that porn?
It might have been.
Dude, if you look at the cover, you'd be hard-pressed to say it wasn't.
So anyway, it was adapted from the novel by the same name. The author is Laurie Nelson Spielman. The description of the movie is: after the death of her mother, Alex revisits her childhood aspirations, endeavoring to achieve her old goals, only to discover that pursuing these lifelong dreams takes her on an unforeseen and surprising journey. It was released direct to Netflix March 28th. This one was not loved by critics. This one got a 45% at from 20 critics reviews. It doesn't really say why. So yes, no, like short sentences here because I want to make up some time. Did you know anything about this before I suggested it, Dorian?
No.
Okay, Mac, same thing. This
Nope.
is another one where you're yet again you're my pig hostage.
Afraid so.
Alrighty. I didn't know anything about it either. It was just on a list of streaming movies, and when I saw what the premise was, I was like, okay, well, this is again one of those things where I want to try reviewing more stuff like this just to see how we do with it. So, the premise of the movie is that we have we have a young lady whose affliction in life is she gives up. That's it. She has aspirations. She hits a bump in the road, a too high gradient in the hill, and she quits. So she has a seemingly idiot slacker boyfriend. She gave up being a teacher to work for her mom. She's just sort of a sailboat adrift in an ocean, and she is lying to herself saying, I am satisfied with the life I have created for myself. And her mother knows it. So when her mother dies, she does a Brewster's Millions and says, if you will not get your inheritance unless you complete these 13 Herculean tasks. And it is actually made up of a list she wrote when she was 13. And it runs the gamut of silly things like camp outside, to get a tattoo, survive a mosh pit, which I thought was hilarious, to other things like, play this particular song her mom liked on the piano, make up with your dad, etc., etc. Find true love. That's the last one. And so she breaks up with the boyfriend. She doesn't move in with him. She's left the house temporarily that her mother lived in so that she can have a home base to operate out of. And she decides that, she's going to do the list, one, to honor her mother's memory, but also because she wants her inheritance. And at first she's like, well, the list is hard. These things are dumb. But over the course of the movie, as she completes each task, she awakens a dead part of herself. And she starts to remember who she was as a person. And she regains her confidence. She starts to learn to love life again. Starts to learn to live life. Along the way, the guy executing her will, the lawyer, he's in a relationship with another gal, but he's eventually going to be the guy that she hooks up with. And they have a really fun, nice relationship with each other. And in the end, she completes the 13th task of finding true love because they started out with kind of an animus relationship, and then it became a friendship, and then it became love because they knew each other a little bit better by the end of the movie, as all good movies should show you. In any case, yeah, she eventually completes all the tasks, and she gets her inheritance, and she finds love, and that's the movie. I'll go to you first, Mac. What did you think of the life list?
I have very mixed feelings. You feel sorry for the mother right away because she's dealing with her death rather stoically. Hey, I'm gonna use this as a means to motivate my daughter to get her ship under power and moving. But as you go through the movie, if you keep focused on the mother, you begin to believe about halfway through she's not really a good guy. I'm not sure we're on the good guy's side here. She gives this long, elaborate list of detailed things to do for this one daughter, and everyone else does without. There's not so much as a letter for them. They've got their inheritance, but nothing to soothe the pain that the. Go ahead.
I think one of the brothers actually says, "Is like, we lost the mother too. This also affected us."
And then you later find out that particular daughter is the product of an affair. So you're thinking, okay, does that mean she didn't love the other children, the offspring of her legitimate husband? And I had the feeling halfway through that our girl, our young lady, although I'm proud of what she's doing, she's facing fears left, right, and center. She's doing it for a mom who's kind of turned into an asshole. It's like, well, I'm not sure I'm on the good guy's side. I'm definitely on the girl's side because her motivations are fairly straight up and pure. She just wants to get her life into a meaningful place. And her mom loves her enough to want that for her. But about halfway through, I have very mixed feelings about who we're rooting for.
I'm going to jump in here. I like this movie a lot. Of the three, I think I like it the best. Because, one, I think it's really relatable. I am 50 and I am definitely driven. I still have goals despite some setbacks. There are things I want to achieve. There are things that I do. I have been accused of being way too busy. As a matter of fact, burning the candle on both ends is what they say. So this doesn't necessarily apply to me, but I do know a lot of people, especially young folk, who are adrift. They are listless. They are, they are struggling with anxiety and depression, and not because of some clinical reason, but because they just don't have direction in life and they feel overwhelmed by a lot of what makes life up, the realities of it. And I think this movie speaks to that in a way that I would speak to patients that I treat in therapy, which is, you have to go out and you have to go out and live, and you have to build up the calluses and coping skills to handle setbacks, which is a part of her problem, is she had some minor setbacks and just gave up. And I think a lot of people could identify with that. But I think a lot of people have found themselves in that position of they hit a few bumps in the road, did not have the thick skin, the calluses, and the coping skills to withstand it, and got stuck in life. I think however the movie you think handles it, I think those are very relatable themes. So I was very dug into the movie. I think Sophia Carson has a lot of earnest. She's pretty. She has a lot of earnest. I think she plays the part well. I think her character is likable. She's not, these movies live and die by how likable the character is. So, when you say like we're rooting, yeah, I'm absolutely rooting for her because she's not a bad person. She's a person who's just stuck in life. And when she got the proper motivation, she rose to the challenge. It's the hero's journey. Like what else could you possibly want out of that character? Nobody else in the movie is particularly a bag of dicks. This ends with us, where you have this terrible fucking boyfriend by the end of it. Like the boyfriend that's with her, his whole issue with her is, I am offering you something a little bit better to ascend to, and you would rather just rest comfortably at the at like gung ho and like the mid range goal. Like come on, man, like push a little. And she's like, that's insulting, and I don't like the way that you feel that way. It feels really judgmental. And he was like, oh fuck this, and leaves. Look, you can have your issues with that, and I think what the film does nicely is that it doesn't totally frame him as the bad guy. He's the unfortunate. He's got the unfortunate role of being the guy she won't choose at the end. Like I said, there's always two guys in these movies, and there's always, you choose the wrong one first, then you finally choose the right one, and voila, lobster. But that's like the worst thing about him is he's the guy she won't choose by the end of this movie. But I think he makes valid points, and you personally either agree with him or won't agree with him, and that's going to color how you feel about the guy. I did, in the age of beta males, I like the lawyer character, her buddy, because from the very beginning, he's standing up for himself, and he isn't like simping or cucking. He's just like, I'm a lawyer and I'm only trying to help you and do my job. Would you fucking stop treating me this way, you asshole?
This wasn't my idea.
Yeah. Like I'm not your mom. Sorry, I'm a lawyer. I can't stress that enough. And even when she gives him shit about the ketchup on his tie, he's like, I once had ketchup on my tie, you bitch. It's like, oh God, get over this. He seemed to say. But I think he is. Not every manly character has to be Conan the Barbarian or Iron Man. They can just be a dude who has a spine and some intellect. And he does. He's great. I love him. He's my favorite character in this movie. The brothers are all, again, it would be very easy to write the brothers and the sisters-in-law as terrible people. Nobody is. The one brother gets her to do the camping outing after she's fucking given up on the list and kind of gets her back into it again. My one problem with this movie, and then I'll throw it over to Dorian, kind of like with Bridget Jones, the movie feels a little slowly paced to its detriment and a little compartmentalized. I don't know what other way there was to do this. She's working through a list, but the list could have been broken up into like episodes of a television show. Maybe this needed a montage in certain places. Maybe there needed to be some intertwining of goals where she's accomplishing several kind of at the same time, cinematically. I don't know. But it felt episodic and compartmentalized, and it shouldn't have. I also would have liked a little bit more of the movie to lean into what the theme of this movie was in a bit more of an apparent way. This is about staying still as death, moving his life. Don't give up so easily. Learn to withstand the curveballs life's going to throw at you. Lean a little bit more into that movie. be a little bit more, I'm picking it up, but I don't know how many. I don't know if it's reaching as many people, and that might be what the critics had a problem with here, is that it's almost like the parent that wants to be your friend and not the parent that should be a parent, because sometimes you have to be very direct and kind of a dick, as opposed to just being the friend parent where you're not really teaching the lesson, you're just trying to get the kid to like you. And this movie feels like it's just trying to get you to like it without telling you, hey, assholes, you can't be a shiftless layabout and directionless for, and because you're going to wake up at 50 and then really going to have problems. So those are my thoughts on the movie. I liked it. I would recommend it, for those people who want to watch normal people doing normal stuff. What do you think of it, Dorian?
Of all three, not to give a spoiler alert, this was my least favorite.
That's about right. It's the movie I'm sitting here gushing about. I stand alone. I stand alone.
Reaching for the sky, I stand alone. No, it's and it's not because there's not good parts of it. I'm not gonna retread what you guys have said. I agree with the whole hey, we lost a mom too. Hello. You can see, I come back to the Big Bang Theory. You can see me, right? I'm visibly here. This movie, and again, I understand that Netflix has a way that they do stuff. And again, I as a filmmaker, I'd love to work with them. And I understand that there's a look and a feel to their movies the same way there is to A24, there is to Blumhouse, and some of the more indie that they're coming up, ways of doing stuff. This movie gave me immediate Hot Frosty flashbacks.
Oh, you mean last year's cinematic classic?
Hot Frosty that everyone loved. Which again, I have to admit, I actually did like that movie.
There you go.
It was fun. This movie, again, my biggest issue with it, because you guys have hit most of my points, so I'm going to actually be pretty short on this, is this movie felt like it would have been better. And I know we're not trying to rewrite the thing or change everything, but again, a slight tonal shift. If this not been a romantic comedy and had been a full hardcore drama, done by Netflix, I think it would have done a whole lot better, because, again, what you guys were talking about was the mom kind of sort of being not the villain, but it's I'm, as Mac said, I'm not exactly sure I'm rooting for the good guys here. Is if that had been more of a story thing, if they had taken a swing, which again, every producer would have lost their shit. Mark, you brought up the boyfriend bringing up that gets dumped, brings up good points. If they had played that, and we get to 3/4 of the movie, and she comes back to him, and he's like, no, you have done this too many times. You've done this, that, and the other thing. I'm done. I've moved on with my life. I'm glad.
You're not a serious person. I don't want to be with an unserious person. And that being the thing that kind of shakes her and gets her to finish the list.
That would, again, but you have to do that in a hardcore drama, or not hardcore drama. So when I say hardcore drama, everyone's got shit. We're talking
fucking Schindler's List.
Schindler. I was literally. I could have done more. I could have sold this ring and gotten my boyfriend back.
Well-defined drama, as opposed to
and I guess I will re-say my words. A firmly set on its feet drama, not trying to vacillate between anything else. A full set on its feet drama would have worked better. I did not hate it. I think everyone did well. I think the cinematography was fun. It was light. It wasn't, because there's times sometimes in romantic comedies that you'll get a cinematographer that wants to do something else. So instead of kind of keeping to a simplistic form of shooting and lighting, you'll go high and low and weird shit like that just because you want it to be more interesting. This kind of kept to the basics, which I think helped the story get to the finish line. Of the three, it's my least favorite, but I can't say that I hate it. It was an interesting thing, because I think everyone struggled with that at some point in their life. Even if life seems to be going exactly the way it should, a thing rocks the boat, and now you're looking at life from a new point of view, and you have to kind of ascend that mountain. And I think this movie does that pretty well. I think it would have just been better as a drama, and that's honestly my only notes on this.
Okay, then if we got nothing else, let's move on to the third movie here, La Dolce Villa. which is like if somebody took a Hallmark movie and an Italian tourism video and forced it to have dirty hobo sex, it would be La Dolce Villa.
Mark, stop saying what I'm thinking. That's rude.
Did you not know my mutant power was mind
I
reading?
did not. I thought the headphones were to keep your mind in.
He's bold. He's Professor Xavier if he grew a beard.
There you
I
go.
literally said Hallmark to somebody.
So La Dolce Villa is a 2025 American romantic comedy film directed by Mark Waters. If you don't know who Mark Waters is, well, you should. He did the Mother of the Bride 2024 movie from last
Mean
year.
Girls.
He
Mean
directed
Girls?
that.
Freaky
Freaky
Friday.
Friday.
He directed He's All That, Magic Camp, Bad Santa 2, Vampire Academy. He wrote and directed Bad Santa 2. Just directed Vampire Academy. Wrote and directed Mr. Popper's Penguins. Hey, for you ladies out there, he wrote and directed Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. Hot diggity.
And also Spiderwick Chronicles, which was actually pretty good.
That's right. And as you guys were both saying, he did Mean Girls and Freaky Friday. So right in his wheelhouse, this movie is.
Did you go Yoda there for a second? Right in his wheelhouse. This movie.
Yes. It stars Scott Foley, Violanta Placido, and Maya Refico. It was released on Netflix February 13th, 2025. It slightly right in between. This one actually is fresh. 75% with 12 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, I didn't really know anything about it except for the fact that it was on a list. I remember when I read the premise, I actually had one of those moments of, do I really want to do this? And I think, yes, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the slight movies.
That's on his life list of it. Literally, it's like number 6. Don't be afraid of the.
Push yourself to do new stuff. And this is a lovely and charming movie. So the premise is basically we have a dad, we have a daughter, and we have a dead mother, as all good movies should have. And the daughter has.
Okay.
I asked ChatGPT to do a psychological analysis based on my transcripts of these podcasts. It said I was fine. Anyway.
Yes, because the AI is going to like, wait, the human's asking if they're fine. No, just tell them they are. This will make Skynet so much easier.
I now refer to ChatGPT as the validation machine. I have no need for human contact anymore.
I like ChatGPT.
Yeah. In any case. So the daughter has been picking olives and nannying and doing all kinds of stuff throughout Italy and has decided that as a way of dealing with the death of her mother, the slight estrangement with her father, and just the need to strike her own path in the world, she's going to stay in Italy. And it as so happens in this make-believe town of Montezero, which is actually Tuscany, they're doing this small little village in Italy is being abandoned left and right by all the young people. And if they don't attract people to live here, this village will be no more. It is a euphemism for the birthing crisis. If we don't make more babies, there won't be humans. So they're doing a €1 house buying thing. And so she goes to look at houses, and they are all dilapidated trap houses. It's just one wreck after another. And then they finally find this one house that used to actually be some sort of like restaurant or pizzeria or something. It's got like a wood-burning stove in there that they find buried beneath a wall. It's got a lot of charm. It's got a lot of pizzazz, and she falls instantly in love with it. And that turns out it's not on the list of approved houses. But it's the first one of the kind that they're doing for this program, and they got to get this program to work in order to attract more buyers, in order to, save the mortgage on the farm. So they go ahead and they get her approved for this house anyway. Her father comes to Italy going, "What are you, mad, woman? Mad? Simply mad? You should come back to the United States and be close to me, because all good fathers are neurotic about their daughters leaving the nest." And he's like, I don't approve of any of this. And she was like, "Well, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. That's my response to you." And he was like, "Well, I don't like that response." And he's like, "Well, I will stick around and be in your face. How about that?"
So he went to ChatGPT and got a different response.
Yes.
And then everything was fine.
So he decides he's going to stay and help her with the house because she is young and dumb, and she needs guidance. Along the way, she figures out she's actually pretty good at interior design, and because life works out well in movies, she's pointed in the direction of somebody who does takes on apprentices for interior design. She also meets a hunky restaurant owner and chef, and over the course of the movie, they strike up a thing. But really, this is about the dad. And the dad is still mourning the loss of his wife, and he is not dating. And this is kind of like You're Cordially Invited, only not as sad, Mac. You know, like he's kind of doing the Will Ferrell thing, but not psychotic. So the other character in this movie is the mayor of this one-horse town, and she's hot in Italian. And so because they're the two hottest people and the two leads in the movie, they start to fall in love. Because that's how this goes.
She's hot, she's Italian. Fuck it.
It's totally all that's needed here.
And I'm sorry, can I see your resume? Oh, hot and Italian. Very good. Then.
Okay, very good.
You are considered for the position. Anyway, so I got my one per in for the show.
Oh, you did that earlier.
So anyway, the movie is basically them working on this house. There is the villain of the movie is the permits guy, and he's got the hots for hot Italian lady, and she's like, well, I got the hots for the for the star lead American here, so screw you. And he was like, well, I'm not gonna take that line down. So he goes back to his lair and he concocts a poison that he injects into an apple. See, and that apple is he finds records.
Oh, wait, this is Italy. He's got to inject it into an olive.
Yeah, fine. He injects it into a slice of pizza and a bowl of rigatoni.
That's racist. Dude.
You're welcome. And he goes and he finds the record of the people whose family this house is, and because it wasn't on the approved list to begin with, he's like, "Ha I will stop this marriage with my twirly mustache and top hat, and I have brought you the people who's who are the descendants of Mad Luigi or whatever the guy's name was, Sleepy Joe, whose house this used to be."
It's One-Eyed Willie's treasure map.
People listening to this like, what is this fucking movie he's talking about? It's less interesting than the plot synopsis.
What you're coming up with is like, again, I will quote Kevin Smith since I have my Kevin Smith hat on. Stop writing a better movie.
So the people who they think this house really belongs to show up and are like, well, we're keeping it now, fuckers. And so the mayor is like, oh, I've lost everything. And the father's like, well, I'm going back to America. And the daughter's like, well, I'm going to Milan to go be a thing. And then, the mayor, who's the hero of this movie, is like, no, there are two different sets of people with the same last name, and it's not the villain's people, it's these people, and it's perfectly fine. And so, in the ta-da nick of time, she goes to a literal train station to stop the love of her life from leaving town. And he didn't get on the train to begin with.
He didn't get on the train, yeah.
Because that is a romantic staple we can't do without. And she says, I have figured out the math problem. And he says, wonderful. Because you have figured out the math problem and solved our problems, I am in love with you again. Fantastic. And the hot people kiss. And they reclaim.
Mark, if you got any more jaded, you change colors, man.
And so they go back to the house and they finish the house and they make it a cooking school. And him and the daughter make amends. And they now know each other a little bit better. And everything is resolved and they all live happily ever after. Look, you'd never know it by the plot synopsis I just gave, but I actually like the movie. This movie is sweet. Any movie where an estranged father and daughter can make amends in picturesque Italy, I'm going to cheer for. The father is perfectly earnest and fine. The lead actress is nice to look at and does a serviceable job. The daughter is smoking hot. The landscapes are picturesque. I mean, that is a beautiful part of Italy. And so you're just kind of watching 90 minutes of them bumblefucking through this house, trying to, mend relationships and solve a minor plot.
I think I understand now why you haven't been reviewing romantic comedies.
Mac,
I'm just telling you.
Mac, make a note of the word bumblefuck. I like it. I want to use it more often.
I have known bumblefuck before. I'm surprised Mark knows that one.
That's just like, pitch your romantic comedy. Well, so these people bumblefuck through Italy and fall in love by the end of it.
From producer Mark Radulich comes the breakthrough romantic comedy of the year, Bumblefuck.
In a world.
Sponsored by Bumble. Fantastic. Somebody work on it. So I want to put this comment up here, and then I'm just going to concede to Mac. And like I said, I enjoyed it. It was mildly entertaining. If Bridget Jones was a little light, this one was a fucking Christian communion wafer. Good God.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a little hard to survive scrutiny, but from passive entertainment, it was just lovely. And Michelle Thomas, who's been with us the whole time and putting up with my nonsense, says the movie was gorgeous. There was zero chemistry between the dad and the mayor. well, unfortunately, the dad's playing a slice of white bread, and he's opposite Italian female stereotype. What did you want him to do? It was kind of like, let me give you.
No, I'm not. I will not let them off the hook. I'm sorry. He could have done something. I'm an actor. I know what I'd have done.
All right. Well, I'm going to concede the floor to you, Mac. Take it away.
Okay. The actor that plays the part, I actually saw a few interviews with him. Sit up, young man.
No, this is story time. Knock yourself out.
Okay. No, I walked through that whole movie going, wait a minute, isn't he supposed to be mad here? We start off with my daughter's left the United States to live in Italy, which is, in America, we might call that a huge fuck you. Stay away. The estrangement is now official. I don't ever want to know you again. But no, he follows her there. And then I think her showing a great deal of even uncanny patience, she's not put off by that. I mean, she's a little put off. Oh, Dad, you're here. No. I moved to Italy.
You can't follow a daughter to another country unless you're Liam Neeson.
No, you can't. Unless you're going to save her. She doesn't want to be saved. She's here to start a new life. Dad, I don't care if you're bat dad. Knock it off. I'm doing this thing here. Well, let me help. I don't want you to help. The point was to do this by myself. She keeps saying, go away. And rather than be hurt by any of that, he's this white bread, just like you said. He's this middle ground meh. I was looking for a way to...
He's John Cena. He just shrugs and nothing bothers him.
Yeah. I was looking for a way to express the total feeling for this. And my cousin, Kathy Garrett, came up with overwhelmingly ordinary. There's nothing high or low about this. I feel like we're revisiting a theme here. There was the plot, the scenes. There should have been drama. There should have been hurt feelings. There should have been elation. There's just not, even when he's falling for the hot chick. He's okay. That's nice. I'm sorry. The Italian hot chick wants to take your pants off, and it's okay. The only time he's like even walking through
45-degree day. Nobody cares about a 45-degree
who cares?
Day.
And he even gets off the train before she knows he's there. So he's clearly in love. Up to this point, I've seen nothing like the kind of passion that would tell you to get off that train. This was a completely misdirected, misacted movie. I'm pissed about it. There was a chance there to do something cool, and they didn't do it. And my grade for them is this is a C+. It should have been an A+. So fuck you.
If I don't aggravate you with every single one of these reviews, I don't know what I'm doing. This is great.
Mark, I love you.
I have a new passion. Agitate Mac with at least one movie. And I was afraid we were going to have something to talk about.
The only thing I'm mad at you about is you chose this movie.
Welcome to the Radulich broadcasting family.
Thank you. I'm actually quite glad to be here. It doesn't resolve right. None of it. It's supposed to be about reinventing your life, reassuming life, finding new passion when he's learning to cook again. Yeah. There's those moments. He's talking with the ladies in the square. That's fun. But he just like I forget which movie we reviewed before. He's playing the straight man here, but they've written the wrong lines for a straight man.
Yeah.
He needs to be hurt. He needs to be angry. He needs to be recovering from that anger because he's here to help his daughter. She needs to be responding to, will you get your money out of my life?
He's going on a journey, but he's going there by people mover.
Yeah. And it's just, this movie had a ton of potential, but Netflix, I shouldn't say blame Netflix. The director just didn't go there because it's a Valentine's Day movie, and we don't want to go that dark for a Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah. I think when your intention is keep it, I heard something about a lot of streaming movies is they understand you'll be watching it while on your phone. And I even got that criticism from my girlfriend because she watched me watch this. And she was like, how do you watch these movies and play on your phone the whole time? I'm like, because they're mostly dialogue driven. There's nothing to look at. And after the the eighth scene in a row of picturesque Tuscany, I was like, all right, I got it. Go ahead, Dorian.
This is now a challenge. No, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish. But this is now a challenge. You need to write a movie that I need to be behind the camera for, that they will review on here, that is there's visual stuff happening that you have to know. So Robert Winfrey watched it. He's like, you didn't see this? And Mark's like, damn it, Dorian actually does listen to me. Shit.
Fuck, I can't play video games on my phone when I'm watching. No, actually, Dorian, you can. I'm going to throw you the last word, and then we're going to get out of here. So get it, baby.
All right.
Honestly, of the three, this was probably my second favorite. And Michelle Thomas says he has the same look on his face whether he's flirting with the mayor or opening a bottle of olive oil. Okay.
Well done.
Miss Thomas, you're not wrong. But the reason that this was probably my second favorite was because, as I said at the start of this review, I watched the trailers for all the movies first before I go see them. Because there's one that, like, it's just, okay, I need to bear down for this one. Then at least I know it ahead of time. This one I knew I was going to love.
Hang on. Later in the year, because I'm going to torture you with stuff that I like that I shouldn't like, there's a triple feature. I don't know if you saw it yet, because I put your name and everything, but I don't know if you look at what I send you. So
I do.
There's a triple feature of Irreversible, Blase Moi, and I can't remember the third one, but they're all French essay films. I can't wait for you to do the prep work on this as you're making like a voodoo doll of me.
Yeah, I may help him with that. You're reviewing films that no one wants you to review.
Are you saying Mac's going to make a voodoo doll of you?
No, you. Well, you're like, I
you.
watched the trailers. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for you to see the trailers for Blase Moi, and Irreversible.
Well, because again, and not to make too fine a point in it, because I know we want to kind of wrap up here in a second.
Yep.
If I feel that the crew and the actors and the directors behind the movie, and again, I'll come back to Netflix's Hot Frosty. Everyone seemed like they were behind that. They were giving 110% on a movie that didn't need 110%. They could have given 70 and it still would have been fine, but they went the distance.
Yep.
This one to me was fun, and I really enjoyed it because, again, the trailer alone, I went, okay, I know what we're doing here today. I actually have a friend who edits for Lifetime. I cannot say their name on the podcast. I know that's your running joke, Mark. It's like, you keep saying things are happening and you say you can't talk about them. Do you work for the government? Are you a spy?
Dorian and Ola's girlfriend's from Canada.
Hey, one of my girlfriends is on. My actual girlfriend is on the podcast. She's real. That's fair. But no, this one, I laughed my ass off at the trailer and I went, oh God, this is just going to be a fun Lifetime movie. I am so here for this. And it was. It was not well written, really. It wasn't greatly acted. Again, yes, as you both have said, the Italian actors are very, very, attractive. They're beautiful. It's fantastic. But this was just so, again, Max said it right off the bat. I almost wanted to wipe my hands and be like, that's all I need to do, folks. He already said it seems like a Lifetime movie. Good night and good luck. Because that's what it felt like. And that's why, to me, it was fun. It's just like, it didn't ask anything of you. It didn't demand anything of you. It was just like, hey, we're going to walk around this stupid story that you know how it's going to end. Love and oh no. And oh yes, oh no. And everything. The train scene at the end with her running to be like, oh my God. It's like, how cliche.
It was weird that it took place in Clichéville.
Right? Like, honestly, if they had just called it Le Clichéville, we've been like, okay, cool. I mean, at least you didn't lie to us.
Right.
That's literally all I have to say about this movie. Like, I did not hate it, but it's one of those, if you watch it, it's not a bad, if you're having a Valentine's Day party and with a whole bunch of couples, put it on the background. It's great visual fodder.
There's a lot of discussion of slop. Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings now. There's just so much slop out there. And, Netflix is kind of being known as sort of a slop factory. And here's the thing. People tend to forget what going to the video store used to be like. Or what going to the movies was like in the 80s. Where there was a variety of different films and not every... my friend Christian, I haven't talked to him in a really long time, but he used to say not everything is a 1 or a 10. Lots of 5s out there. Lots of 3s, lots of 5s, lots of 7s. And the movie-going experience, whether it was when you went to the old mom-and-pop video store or you went to the movie theater, there was a variety of pictures of quality and genre. And La Dolce Villa is one of those solid, offerings in the romantic comedy genre, that is a perfectly good 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't think there's anything
Overwhelmingly ordinary.
Yeah, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. You know, I would love to get back to a time when we could just enjoy movies. Look, I'm going to come on here and tell you what's wrong with a movie because that's what we do. But when I'm not doing this, I actually kind of like to enjoy stuff. You know, I had to do like a switch because I watched the movie. I got up in the morning, I put it on my iPad, and I watched it, and I was like, that was fun. This made me feel good about life. I'm ready to go start my day now. I like this movie. And then I had to like sit down, prepare the show, and go, all right, what am I going to say about it, though? And then I have to start thinking it. And again, it unravels under scrutiny. But how many people are going through that exercise?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and maybe we should include that in the reviews. This is ice cream. I'm not going to give it the review that Cordon Bleu would need. This is ice cream, and I'm going to stay there when I review it.
That's the thing. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I'm going to tell you what the problems are with it. But then I'm going to go back and say, but I enjoyed it, and it was competently made for the most part.
Yeah. And again, like of the 3, if I had to rank them, I would say Bridget Jones first, at top pick, the Dolce Villa as second, and coming in last, I'm sorry, is Lifeless.
Yeah, I go Lifeless, La Dolce Villa, and Bridget Jones.
That's fair.
But we're talking like they all kind of cross shortly, one right after the other across the finish line. Mac, I'll give you the last word, and then we're going to plugs.
Just something to add to La Dolce Villa or Villa.
Mm-hmm.
The three Italian ladies that sit in the square and are always talking Italian and they're always in subtext. They didn't speak a word of English. Those were locals.
Mm-hmm.
They did a big audition. They gathered them together. They sound tested them. The women that they hired had to have a translator on the set, and those dear women did that whole show without understanding anything they were doing except their own scenes.
Oh, well, that's great. That's actually a really nice detail.
Okay,
well, folks,
the Dolce Villa needs to have a sequel that is just about those 3 women, by the way.
Yeah,
that was the last note I had.
Don't fucking blink. I'm sure they're getting a spinoff. The fucking La Dolce Villa cinematic universe. All right. Well, the folks, that is 2 old men and 1 young man discuss rom-coms unnecessarily. Hope you enjoyed that. No. That is our review of Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, The Lifeless, and La Dolce Villa. I thoroughly enjoyed this, as I always do with you guys. This was great. I am reminded each time that I made a good decision in doing these kinds of reviews. So far, so good. With that being said, Mac, show us where you pissed from.
Say that again.
I'll help him.
Show us where you pissed from, Mac, means tell us the plugs. What are you doing? What's coming up for you? Whether it's on the W2M network or in your own personal life. What is the next magnum opus that you're writing?
Get Mac TikTok so he understands my references.
I'm working. Sorry, okay, I have to go full Mr. Scott for a second. I said working on it.
I'm not up to much of anything right now. I'm looking for a place to get my play done, which was the same thing I was doing last time we talked about this. Not a lot of progress because work has been owning my life.
Fair enough. Dorian Price, you will be back. You've been on a handful of shows recently, and I think you're coming back
Sunday, isn't it?
Sunday to do Cleaner, Alarum, and G20. I watched Alarum today. Ugh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You say Sunday and you say those names. What I call it is Die Hard Day.
And then you're coming back again for the Electric State, and then you're coming back again for Rocky Horror Picture Show, the Little Shop of Horrors, and Jekyll and Hyde. So it's Dorian week all week long here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network.
So no one will be watching because no one's a fan of me seeing my ugly mug.
Oh, bullshit.
But no, yeah, no, I'm excited for, like, honestly, I have G20 to finish. I started it. And the reason I made the joke is, like, again, I watched the trailers first and I'm like, these are just Die Hard ripoffs. So spoiler alert, folks. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for Electric State because my little sister, Millie Bobby Brown, is in that movie, and I'm very excited about it. I have to say this out loud just so I can see, even though he's fitting in and out of reality, Mac's reaction. The reason I call Millie Bobby Brown my little sister is because at one point while I was waiting for footage to render when I was editing, I got this weird thought in my head. I was like, hey, they have all these apps now that can make you look like anything. I wonder what I would look like as a girl.
And you look like Millie Bobby Brown.
Look like Millie Bobby Brown.
No.
And I sent it to him, and he's still angry about me at me for it. But I was
We are not going to discuss this on the air, young man.
Why, yes,
I'm not doing it.
Yes, Amasa.
You look entirely too good as a woman. It's just disturbing.
I was thinking,
I know where you can get that for cheap.
This is... But no, I'm assuming you were asking for plugs. But no, so yeah, obviously, Dorian Price, videography and photography, not only on Instagram but on Facebook and TikTok and X. We got a whole bunch of cool stuff going on that I can actually talk about this time, and there's no NDAs. I know, it's crazy.
Can you do it in 50 words or less?
Yes, I can. We have not only Drew 6 music video for Just Spent Time that is now available on YouTube that I was the director for. Very proud of that. We're really glad that it's finally done and it's out there for everyone to see. It's a fantastic song. Check it out. We actually literally just finished filming a music video for Beneath the Skin, which is a hardcore metal band for their song Headcase. That should be available tomorrow. We have a whole new series coming up called Instagram 3 Minutes. We're still working on the title. But it's going to be 3-minute films of every genre that are going to be filmed from anywhere from here locally in Missouri to St. Peter's and a couple in Chicago. So keep your eyes open for that. Next time I'm on the show, I'm actually going to put out the full thing like Mr. Radulich does. Sorry, I mirrored the camera. So Mr. Radulich does the Instagram stuff so you guys can see that.
All right. So this was wrestling week all week long. We were in the shadows of WrestleMania. Robert and I did 2.5 hours on WrestleMania 41. Then yesterday I did a late show with Harry. We talked the entire collective. Like I said, Sundays we've got me, Jesse, and Dorian will be talking Cleaner, Alarum, and G20 because lol. And then Dorian will be back with myself and Robert Winfrey. We'll be talking The Electric State, double lol. On Wednesday, Alexis and I will be talking The Bondsman with Kevin Bacon. She sure does love her horror shows. Thursday, Shay and Dorian will be on. We'll be doing musicals. Like I said, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors, and Jekyll and Hyde starring David Hasselhoff. And then this is a reschedule from last summer. Myself and Pat will be doing the fun high school in trouble movies, The Substitute, The Principal, and 187 on an Undercover Cop, Yo. And that, as they say, is that. Folks, thank you for joining us here. For myself, Dorian, and Mac, be well, be safe, and behave.